Thank you for joining us on the Sowing Seeds Canada social media during National Volunteer Week as we connect with volunteers who are doing very cool things with our charity and organization. And joining us today is Laura. Thank you so much for having a chit chat with us.
It's a pleasure, Jody.
So, how long have you been volunteering with Sowing Seeds for?
I've been with Sowing Seeds for close to 10 years, I think. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a
It's
great
sort of
journey.
the consensus that most of the volunteers I've chatted with have been at least a decade with an organization. So I think that speaks, beautiful volumes to a charity that people want to be a part of year after year.
It's true.
Yeah. How did you come to get involved with Sowing Seeds?
I heard Kelly Graham's talking on the radio on the CBC to David Gray, and he was talking about an organization where you could teach people to sew that needed to learn how to sew and go to very interesting places at the same time. And I thought, well, that's for me. So I contacted Sewing Seeds, and that's how it began.
That's amazing. So have you been someone who's always been like an avid sewer and sort of in that, I'm going to call it that form of art because it really feels like that to those of us who are not avid sewers.
Well, yeah, I learned to sew at age 12 in home ec class because they used to teach girls to sew. And I took to it right from the beginning. My mom's not a sewer, but I took to it, and it's been a hobby of mine. I actually sewed. I've made a little bit of money off of sewing when I was
Amazing.
younger, and it's just always been a hobby. And I'm really lucky to continue it and to be able to pass it on to other people.
Yeah. So over your decade with sowing seeds, it would probably be really difficult, but I'll ask it anyway to pin it down to, is there like a highlight or something that really stands out for you that was extra special as a part of your volunteering?
I think going from the initial trips to Guatemala, I was a helper. Sylvia did all the teaching. Adriana did some teaching, and there were others of us that were helping. And then now we've moved on to then in Guatemala, Heather and I got to teach level one on our own, and that was a neat progression. And then since then, we've been in Uganda twice, and Heather and I taught level one, and then we taught level two. So I think each time we go and do something new and a bit more challenging for us, it gets better. It gets more exciting and more rewarding.
One, I think the trips alone add this element to the volunteering that is probably different than other people experience. And it's not, necessarily all about them, but you've got to experience some beautiful cultures, like sort of deep dived right in. And that has probably to feel really interesting and unique too.
It really does. I mean, the other people on this team, Uganda, were Gene Hunt and Rick Castiglione, and Rick in particular has many years of experience in Africa, and Gene also has more experience than I do, certainly. And so, just having them to guide us on culture and to help us be more sensitive to what's appropriate and what's not, and learn to take people's lead on where we should be going with certain things, topics of conversation, projects, that sort of thing. It all makes it really interesting.
Yeah. What have you experienced has been the impact, when we share these stories with those who I love to call our donors and supporters, volunteers as well, because you really become a part of the team on a volunteering level to keep it going. What does that impact look like for you that you've witnessed when you've been teaching these students around the world?
I think one thing occasion really stands out. Rick took a group of us to one of our students' homes in Guatemala in Tactique. And one of the women who is in her 40s, and she was one of the students, she was one of the older students in our class. And Rick was asking, and she hosted us in her home and made us food and beverages and was very generous, considering she has very little. Um, and Rick asked her about the impact of the program, and what she said was, before I came to this program, I felt like I was down here. and she used her hands to point to the floor. And then she said, "But now that you've come and you've shown me that you love me and you care and you've given this to me, I feel like I'm up here."
Oh, I love that.
And knowing that we've been able to help impact that woman's life and
Yeah,
give her something that she didn't have before and show that there are people that care and are
yeah,
willing to spend time and effort to pass on these skills, that was beautiful.
I love that. What has the impact been for you personally working with sowing seeds over the years?
Well, I certainly feel like I get a lot more out of it than I put into it. Getting to know Sylvia has been a total privilege. And of course, Angela and Tammy and Candace in particular, I've worked with, and Heather and Jean and Adriana and Jean. I've met so many wonderful people, yourself, Rick. And these are friendships that I have that I wouldn't have had. And everybody has everybody is volunteering for similar reasons, but they often have they have we all come with different experiences,
Yeah,
and it's really interesting to learn from them, and to grow because everybody has different experiences, and you can learn from them all, and
yeah,
that's what I've gained.
it's pretty awesome.
It
Like
is.
really, there's not many things in the world that give you more than you put in on some levels. So that feels really lovely. I
Mhm.
appreciate so much you taking a few minutes to share even just a little snippet of some of that experience that you've had as a volunteer with the organization. Anything else you want to share with us while we have you?
Well, we're very appreciative to the donors and the other volunteers who make this work possible. And I'm very fortunate to be on the machine in front of the students. And I know that this work is important. It seems like it's a long way away and it's kind of intangible to if you're just standing on the outside. But when I'm there and I'm watching these men and women learn how to do things and the pride in their faces and the knowledge that they'll be able to do something that they couldn't do before. It's precious, and we appreciate help from everybody to keep this work going.
I love it. One of my favorite photos that I've had the honor of posting onto the social media is one of you in Uganda, and you're sitting at the computer and the smile and you're waving and the smile on your face, and all the students around you have the same big, beautiful grin. Like nothing speaks more volume, I think, to what that experience is, what we're doing around the world than that
Mhm.
photo. Like I was like, we should make posters out of this. It is so great. I know you would not appreciate that per se, and that you're a little more behind the scenes. And here we keep forcing you into the front. But I love that photo so much. I think it encapsulates everything that Sowing Seeds does. And so thank you for also being brave enough to come out of your comfort zone to be a part of this, because I know that part's not always easy. So thank you
Thanks.
very much for your dedication and your hours and your love and passion for the projects, the work, Sylvia's legacy, everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jody.